We went through most of the dinim over in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch about all the achonas to Pesach, so I want to chaperein at least the Seder and everything. So we'll start today, Kuf Yud Ches, which dini achonas ha-Seder. Before Yud Aleph Sifim. Okay, ready? He says, Yehada achayayin yafa l'mitzvahs arba kaises. You should look for good wine for the mitzvah of the arba kaises. V'im yesh b'nimtza yayin adam yafa min halavan. There's wine that are made from white grapes, and there's wine that are made from red grapes. Most wine is made from red grapes. But Amobai says it wasn't necessarily so. So you have to make an effort to get red wine. So he's saying that you should, if the red wine is better than the white wine, because Rice says more was white wine those days. V'gamu kosher kamei aloven. As far as kosher is concerned, they're all the same. Is mitzvah boy mi beloven? So that is a more mitzvah than taking tzahida mitzvah to take red wine. Shenema steht in Pasuk al teire yayin ki yisadin. There's a pasuk in Mishrei where Shlomo HaMelech, Mishrei is a book of proverbs, sayings, or a book of advice where he gives people advice what to do. So he says over there, you shouldn't see wine when it's red. In other words, don't put your eye on it. That's what it means over there. Actually, Shlomo HaMelech is discouraging drinking over there. And so he says, when you see red wine, that's like a real good wine, in other words. So he said, you may want to get that real good wine. So Shlomo HaMelech says, don't be impressed by the wine by its color. He says, because the sub will be, I forgot the whole pasuk of it, the sub will be that everything that you see will become right, correct. In other words, very shikah. By shikah, there's nothing that's wrong. Whatever he wants to do, he does. I mean, so that's the Shlomo. Huh?
That's what he wants.
That's what Shlomo HaMelech says.
What about if you mix it with?
Actually, in that pasuk over there, the next few words is he mentions the word kais. In that pasuk, I don't remember the Russian, but the word kais is mentioned in that pasuk. And kais is spelled with a yud, which means kiss. So the pshat is the unfortunate say that the storekeeper is looking for your pocket, but you should realize that it's not good to let him get a hold of your pocket. And it could also be a pshat that the wine will bring it to go after someone else's pocket. Okay, that's drush.
But in the beginning he said, Yofik, moya loba.
Yeah, because in jener Zeit.
And then he said, Altere Yankee Sadeh.
Nein, das a Reihe verkehrt. Weil damals ist als gewähnt Loven. Und Loven gewähnt der Choshewe Wein, aber weil sie nicht gehabt reite Wein. Aber wenn Shlomo HaMelech sagt, das gucken auf das Sinn, reite Wein, so, oh, lange Zeit gesehen, ich will getrinken das. Das special.
In Lobon, maybe other.
בדרך כלל, ללובן
sagt, nimmst
So kosher k'moya Lobon. Say the Lobon in the Rikas, kosher is Lobon.
No, because
Was macht das?
weil sie gewinnen ein Jäuze mit einer Kau, reute Wein. Der Reib ist gewinn von Green Grapes, sie gewinnen ein weißer Wein.
What about mixing in a little red to make the white wine red? Does that help?
Huh?
Or is
No, okay. If you want to fool yourself, it helps.
Okay.
Okay. V'oid u'pi sheyesh b'zeichel l'dam. Sotech ha'zeichel, the red wine zet us v'dam. Shahaya parei sheichel yalda Yisrael. And yes, like the Suda, Ubimdinas shel umas tipshin v'sichim the goyim van narish goyim, lahalil shkorim, af zu machen a bilbul af Yidden, is nimmer melikach ein Odom wa Pesach. Ist Punkt verkehrt. Damals, man soll sehr folgen sagen, the Galach folgt anreizen the goyim, and the Galach who told them that the Jews killed a shegis because they need red wine or red blood to drink for Pesach. The Narish goyim was geglaubt him. There was a lot of tzoros that he didn't have from it. L'tzarech tibul rishon shul kapos. The first thing that we do is we dip kalpas. Now, ladies, can explain why do we start with dipping kalpas? It's all that they should make a surprise to the children. There is a din of tibulei b'mashka. Tibulei b'mashka means if you take a vegetable, if you take meat, let's say, and you dip it into one of the 7 different liquids, there's 7 different liquids, so it's called tibulei b'mashka. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, there were nizaf and tumah v'tara. So if something got wet, it could be mekabel tumah. So you had to wash your hands beforehand, and maybe it wouldn't transmit tumah to the food, or if the food is tumah, it wouldn't transmit back and forth. So he's saying that. So what we do is, in order that they should ask questions. If it's a whole year I don't see you doing this, why are you doing it now? So we dip karpas in Salzwasser. Why do we dip karpas in Salzwasser? Karpas steht is a Rosh Tevis, Samach Ribu Perach Samach Ribu. That they worked 600,000 worked avoid this Perach, a difficult work. And the child that sees it will ask the questions. So maybe that's what the part when it comes to Agoda. And because once he sees this, so then he sees also the more and the charaisa. So you're going to tell him about that all the way. So he's going to start asking questions. Terach Agav, we'll get to that later. I mean, but there's shluchim that make a big seder, especially in a lot of communities. The first night they have a big seder, the second night there's a smaller crowd, but the first night is a big seder. According to the times now, you can't start a seder before 8 o'clock. A little after 8 you can first start. And and the people really are interested in the wine and the food, So if you start, let's say you have a seder with 100 people, and you'll say, everyone now, go wash your hands. You're not going to get food. Don't make a bracha. You're not going to get food. And go wash your hands, and we're going to dip a little piece of onion into salt water. You're going to lose your crowd right away. So I told them, I once spoke for a group of shluchim. I told them that there is a din, or there is a minig, especially, I heard later that in Yekish community is very popular, that not everyone washes their hands to karpas. It's only the head of the seder. They bring a pail of a bowl, and they bring a cloth up to him, and he gets up and he washes his hands and he dips it in. Then he dips in the karpas and Salzwasser, and finish. You go on with the seder. So
no one has the karpas either. Just the other karpas.
Everyone could eat it, but the washing. He explains it. Just explain. Take a few minutes to explain, but don't take up an hour of everybody getting up from the place and getting back to the place and going to the sink, and it becomes a whole bilbo. So it's important to know that din. So he says that the side of tibul rishon shul kapos noigen harbor legal petrozol. Petrozol is what we call parsley root. V'toyb yoyser lekachas tzela. Tzela I think is celery. Sheyesh letam toiv k'shul chai. No, the celery is some type of celery. V'hamuvcha likach tzenoin. What's tzenoin?
Radishes.
Radish. In Lubavitch, you don't eat radish, Pesach, right? So this is not according to Lubavitch. Now, why don't you eat radishes on Pesach?
It used to be growing next to the wheat.
Huh?
It used to be growing next to the wheat.
Grows next to the wheat.
Okay. Okay, it could be that's the reason. And I heard a reason. But it doesn't really apply only. Chayil applies to all year. You have to think why. I heard it from Rabbi Fuchs or Sholem that he said in Yiddish, radish is retach. Retach is two words, rataich, that the inside and Pesach, we all want to be good, not any
You're
rataich.
concerned about that on Rosh Hashanah.
Huh?
You're concerned about that on Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I told you it's not only, but it could be. Now, l'tzarech mora. Noigen likach tamcha, and tamcha is chrein, what we call horseradish. V'kiven shul charef ma'oid, yichayim lefarerei b'ribeisen. In other words, you could, what do you call it, grind it.
So it's none of the options of here are onions.
No, we're not talking, onion is not for mora.
No, I'm saying for karpas, there was no
For karpas, we take onion in Lubavitch, and in other Welt they take cooked potato. As long as, incidentally, as long as there's something on which you make a bar priyadama, the Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch says clear that the karpas should be b'chasei bar priyadama. What does that mean? What's that mean? That means there are certain vegetables today that are grown hydroponic. That means it's grown on water. And there's a shaila if on a vegetable that's grown on water, many hold it, you make a shahakal. And we want to make a hadama because we want to have a zinin also the mora that we're going to eat later. So some people use endives, and endives that are grown on water. So if you're using endives, you have to make sure that it's not an endive that's grown on water.
But it's, people use andives for mother, not for karpas.
Same thing. Mora has to be also hadama. L'tzarech mora noig likach tamcha. In the Mishnah in Psachim in the second Perek, it talks about these ve'elu you could use to be yaitz mora, and mentions 5 things. So he's going to say soon that according to the Mishnah, and the state that you should try to go according to the Mishnah of what's available. There's the first. Guess what? The first thing in the Mishnah is not tamcha. The first thing in the Mishnah you say later is salat. Salat is what we call Roman lettuce, and tamcha is chrein. Chrein is difficult. There's even to eat chrein. The Rebbe used to take a piece of Roman lettuce, and he would wrap a piece of chrein in it, and he ate it that way. Then it's really has the full sharpness in it. But most people don't do that. Some people put in a little bit of chrein in the Roman lettuce, because in the Roman lettuce you don't feel any sharpness. So you want to feel a little sharpness, you put in a little bit of chrein, but it's chrein that's ground. So he says that l'tzarech mora noig likach tamcha v'kiven shul charef ma'od yichayim lefareh b'ribeisen rak sheyizoru. They should be careful shalai yifek legamri, that it shouldn't lose all of its strength. V'yesh lefareh, listen to this here, kishaboyim mibeis haknesses. That the Rebbe said befeidish that you can't do that. But he says over here, but he said, but you should do it with a Ubishabbos.
Ubishabbos. You can't anyway because it's Shabbos.
Ubishabbos, he says Ubishabbos is suiting with Faraday, like that the Rebbe says that you're not allowed to. Elishatzrichen with Friday kaidem halayla. You have to do it before the night. V'yichaseyu ad halayla, and you should cover it till at night. Avol yosetay lakachas chazera shi salat. Salat is the Roman lettuce. V'nayach la'aycha, and it's easy to eat it. V'nik'ai, so why is it mora? He says v'nik'ras mora l'fi shekashaya bekaka nasa haklach. That's the centerpiece becomes very hard and bitter. V'yaitzin gam belana hanikav ramuth. Ramuth is another vegetable. Ulshin v'charvina. One of these is endives. einem Schrichen b'mdina seinu. They
Lano
didn't,
is one of the minimum kosher for modern.
huh?
Lano is kosher for modern.
What?
Lano.
Mensen, was het als land?
This house, it's funny meaning this.
They say, he said it's vermouth.
Niet genana.
What is that?
I don't know, there's wine that's vermouth.
Door, heb je die blad, dat nooit,
Oh, I can't